we should move on to the main event
Yes.
here. Oh boy.
nWo sold out 1997 or 6.
Sold out. SOULED.
Yes. I'm
Not
forgetting the year now. Was it 96 or 97?
1997. I remember it like it was yesterday because I was there.
By the way, I took notes as I was watching it. I did not. I know you had originally suggested that I send you notes in real time as I was watching it because you were curious. I decided not to, though, only because I thought it would be more interesting if you are surprised by my thoughts and feedback. So I didn't want to.
I actually was thinking about it after I asked you to do that, and I'm like, you know what? I think I want it in real time because it offers this great difference. Because if I can be honest here for a moment, this is only my second time viewing the broadcast of it.
Yeah.
Because this took place, Matt, in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Yeah.
I was there in attendance live at the Five Seasons Center.
Yeah.
So this was only my second time, and this is a 28-year-old event.
Yeah. Oh, hard to believe.
Yeah, it's only my second time watching the broadcast version of it.
And for younger fans who don't know about nWo Sold Out, one of the reasons it's so kind of notorious for those of us who do remember it is it's broadly considered one of the absolute worst pay-per-views in wrestling history. It is reviled, and I had never watched it, but I remember when it happened and everyone was just shitting all over it. I had not heard one single positive thing about any of it.
Okay. I'm going to say that I was in 8th grade the year this happened. I'm 42 now, so do the math, people. Look, we have to look at the state of the wrestling business when this happened. nWo was the hottest thing.
Oh yeah,
I mean, anything WCW touched turned to gold, and like
during that period, yeah.
Shortly before this pay-per-view happened, there was an infamous photo in one of the actor mags, The Wrestler, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Inside Wrestling, one of them, of Shawn Michaels at an airport wearing an Outsiders t-shirt.
I remember that.
And threw up the Too Sweet. So for my friends and I that actually went to this show, we're like, oh man, you know what would be so awesome? Man, Vince fired. Oh, Sean's going to get fired or he's going to quit and he's going to show up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And debut as a member of the nWo.
Right.
And he's going to help Hall and Nash beat the Steiners.
Yeah.
Like it was that was the main thought we had going into the show is who's going to join next? And you know, it was a cool thing because the stars of WCW were all over Cedar Rapids the day of the event.
That must have been cool. Yeah.
You could go to Lindale Mall here in Cedar Rapids and meet Hall and Nash.
Yeah.
Eddie Guerrero was at a Subway on the bad side of town. They had Hugh Morris at a KFC.
Yeah.
And then after the show, the rumor is a lot of the guys were at a adult entertainment club here in Cedar Rapids called Dancers Ranch.
Okay.
So yeah. Look, it was a big deal for Cedar Rapids. Like we were getting a pro wrestling pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was cool. Like, I remember being so psyched and like going in and hitting the souvenir stand and getting an NWO shirt, NWO hat,
Mm-hmm.
getting the event T-shirt and the program, and uh, yeah,
Was it
that
was it sold out? No pun intended.
yes.
Okay.
And when the show opens, they're riding on dump trucks.
Yeah.
And those were City of Cedar Rapids dump trucks. They
Yeah.
shut down that block the night before the event to do that.
Yeah.
And it was -8 degrees
Oh, really?
temperature, not wind chill, temperature.
Yeah. Jesus. So I have I had a thought about this as I'm watching it, and believe it or not, there were a couple things about it that I liked that I thought were cool. But my broader thought was, because people always talk about Sold Out like it was a bad idea and they shouldn't have done this, and it was such a terrible mistake. But I tend to think of it as I kept coming back to this as I was watching it. I think there's a distinction to be made, and some might say this is a distinction without a difference. But in my mind, there's a distinction between a bad idea and a good idea with a lot of potential that is just very poorly executed. And that's how I felt about this. There were certain things that I liked. For example, the ramp, the way they walked down those stairs, I thought that looked cool as hell. I'd never seen that before, and I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it since. I don't really, for people who haven't seen it, I'm not even sure how to describe it, but basically there's this flight of stairs that they walk down to get to the ramp to go into the ring. I thought that looked really cool. And that was one of the first things I noticed that I really liked.
It came off, and I couldn't make this correlation when I was a kid. Because
Yeah.
I'd never seen it. I didn't see this movie till I was in college. The Nazi propaganda film Triumph of the Wills.
Yeah.
Just those. And I hate. I'm not trying to compare the NWO to Nazi Germany.
Oh, of course.
But very propaganda-esque, with Eric Bischoff starting the show on this podium at the top of these stairs.
And I like that too.
That it was very dictator-esque.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like when you were in that arena that this man was our leader.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. And I feel where they got that from is at that time, Pride FC was really big in Japan. They were the Japan version of the UFC.
Yeah.
And that's how their fighters entered the ring.
Oh, okay.
And it was an over the top show, and it makes the arena feel bigger than what it is.
Yeah.
New Japan does it for if you watch Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
They do it quite frequently for Wrestle Kingdom.
Okay.
That a setup like that, it makes it feel so much bigger and draws your attention. It's a production trick where they draw your attention up to the athletes, and then the athletes are coming down to the audience.
Yeah.
It builds, it's supposed to psychologically build anticipation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I really like that. I thought that looked very, very cool. I liked the deal with Bischoff at the podium at the beginning. At the very beginning, you made reference to it, the video package of them riding the dump trucks. I thought that was cool too, but I thought it was too long. I felt myself getting impatient with it. Like, okay, how long does this go on? I get it. It's cool and everything, but it's about twice as long as it needs to be. Like, let's get to something here. You know, I did get a little, I thought it was too long, but I also understand, obviously they put a lot of work into it, you know, but so you don't want it to be a quick thing, but I thought it dragged a little bit.
I did. One thing in my notes, I love the different camera angles that they
Yeah, me
use.
too.
The overhead camera they used. That
Yep.
was probably the first, I'd say one of the first times they used something like that in a pro wrestling pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And that
Yep.
was really cool. There, look, this isn't a total shit show here.
Right. Right.
There are some good, and we'll get into it. But just, I think this was so many experts or people point to Starcade 1997, which I haven't even talked to you about this yet, Matt, but I guarantee you, people, we will do an episode on Starcade 1997
Yeah.
because it is one of the most important pro wrestling events.
Yeah.
Um, People will point to that as being like the start of the end of WCW.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think sold out is when people started, is when people should have started to question, where are we going with this? What is the blow off? What is the end? Because if you're going to have a group of bad guys, and yes, they were over, but eventually the good guys have to have their comeuppance.
Yeah.
And you can't have an event, and this is where it's flawed. And is can't have an event with all NWO guys, NWO commentary team, and an NWO referee. How in the hell is WCW supposed to win these matches?
Well, see, I think that so, and by the way, so I think we agree from a production standpoint, it was cool. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is all in the creative, right?
Yup.
I think what they should have. This is where I think it actually was a good idea, just poorly executed. With a little bit of creativity, they could have built in angles where, for example, the WCW guys didn't want to participate, didn't want to be there, but on the way building up to this event, you could have done these angles where, like Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero and these guys who are going to be on this pay-per-view, they would only agree to do it under certain stipulations. Like, we need you have to put an unbiased referee in there so you don't have Nick Patrick for every match, or for my match, I need to have, I got to have somebody in my corner to make sure you don't pull any shit during my match. Otherwise I'm not going to be there. They could have done creative things to give the WCW guys some incentives, and made it really interesting like that, instead of it just being, well, obviously the NWO is going to win almost every match because the deck is completely stacked. They could have done some creative things, but they just didn't. They just didn't bother. The creative sucked, but it could have been great. There are things that they could have done to made it really interesting, and then the story could have been, so maybe the WCW guys end up doing really much better than expected. And then part of the story is the NWO, they got a little overconfident. They got a little cocky. Are we seeing some cracks in the armor with the NWO? And maybe this whole thing kind of blows up in the NWO's face a little bit. That would have been really interesting. You could tell a great story with that and shoot off with all these other angles from that. But it's like, the creative was just dog shit. It was all, and the production, like I said, the production was, I thought, very cool and different, but the creative just sucked, and it was lazy. That's what it is. It was lazy creative. They didn't think about what they were doing on that, in that aspect.
No, and Matt, you hit it on the head. And I think when we talk about the matches, we're going to get into a lot of the issues. And, like some of these matches, it isn't even like, man, this looks good. It's just they had a bad night. No, you look at some of these matches and it's like, why? And look, all of this is done in hindsight. We have
Yeah.
hindsight and the ability to armchair quarterback this.
Yeah.
But why the hell is this on a pay-per-view?
Right.
Like, why are we watching Big Bubba versus Hugh Morris.
Yeah.
Why, like, why is this here? Why? It's just there's so many different things that I just don't. That you look at it, and I remember when my friends and I left the arena that night.
Yeah.
We were just kind of like, oh, yeah, I mean, it was cool.
Yeah.
We saw pay-per-view, but it wasn't like when we would leave SmackDown in Des Moines, or when we left the Monday Night Raw in Ames when Triple H won his first world title.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
And it was, oh yeah, that was cool. Um, and I remember I got home and my aunt asked me, she's like, oh, do you have fun? Yeah, I had fun. And I showed her my souvenirs and everything, and like the autographs I'd gotten around town throughout the day.
Yeah.
And then she was like, oh, well, looks like you had fun. Well, what? And my aunt still to this day is just an amazing woman. Really more my mom than my actual mom.
Mm.
But she was just like, so do your favorites win? And I stopped and I'm like, I don't even really know.
Yeah.
And she just gave me a look, and it was a look like
There were no winners that night.
like this look of I spent $50 on a ticket, and you can't even tell me who won. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I got these cool T-shirts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, like, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I I don't even think this was released on Turner Home Video.
Oh, no kidding. Oh.
I don't think they did a home video release. I could be wrong. If someone out there knows and wants to correct me, please do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would have watched the home video of
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
No.
there's something else I wanted to mention from a production standpoint, and this is one of those things you'll probably disagree with me, because I think this is like the WrestleMania 41 main event where I might be the only person on earth who feels this way. But one of the things that I've heard is just so reviled about Sold Out is the commentary of Bischoff and DiBiase. I actually liked it. I actually thought it was good. I thought they worked well together. And
Mr. Connerton, I am going to.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
going to.
I don't mean
I'm
to
going to
cough.
shock you.
You liked it?
In my notes, I actually have this written. Commentary was not bad, but
No shit. Okay.
the bias got very boring.
Yeah, I didn't mind it though. I expected that, but no, I'm surprised. I'm surprised though that you liked it, because I thought I was the only one. I've never heard anyone say that they even. Most people just shit all over it and say that they were terrible together.
See, what was more annoying was that even in the arena, my buddies and I were getting pretty mad at it. Them playing loser over in the middle of a match. Like, if on the broadcast, it was just like, what?
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah.
Like, and keep in mind, for those of you that have never been to a pro wrestling live event, the commentary you hear on TV, we don't hear in the arena.
Yeah.
It doesn't play over the speakers. I mean, look, I think Eric Bischoff is a great play-by-play guy.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I think Ted DiBiase, when he does color commentary, he's good.
Yeah.
I think they both served a great purpose here.
Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, no, I agree. Okay, that's interesting. I thought you were going to disagree with me on that. Now that I'm thinking about it, though, and I'm just having this thought right now, this hadn't occurred to me. They might have benefited from a third person there, someone more neutral to just kind
I
of
think
be
they should have
there.
had Tony Schiavone.
Yeah, that would have been. I think that would have
I
worked better.
agree. I think it would have broken it up, but
Yeah,
I think the thought process was probably we don't want to break the NWO mystique by
yeah,
having a WCW guy. Maybe Mike Tenay would have been.
yeah. I can
Um,
see that.
you could have worked better. Or I mean, you're obviously not going to have Larry Zabisco on there, or
I would have loved. I love Zabisco as a commentator. One of the most underrated commentators, in my personal
he.
opinion,
I
ever.
think he. I have an uncommon opinion on Larry Zabisco. I think he's a better commentator than a wrestler.
I agree. I
I,
agree with you.
I really do, and that's Larry's a good wrestler, but his commentary, and he is such an underrated and underappreciated part of the getting the NWO over.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had Heenan who was just scared of him, but
Right.
Zabisco was in the booth ready to fight them.
He would have been a good third person to have as a counterweight I think, to Bischoff and DiBiase.
I think you needed someone that could be more neutral, and that's why I said Mike Tenay would have been
Yeah,
a
but
good
it's still,
choice.
but it'd still be 2-1. I think, I think Tenay would have been a good choice, but I think Zabisco might have been interesting.
Yeah, I think the blow off would have been Zabisco just punching one of them.
Yeah,
Like,
that would have been cool.
maybe he could have punched the winner of the beauty contest.
Yeah. I did make a comment in my notes. I said DiBiase and Bischoff on commentary is fun, even though they're not bothering to call the match. And I made that note during Jericho versus Shono, because they really didn't bother. But not that I minded; it was fine in the context of
was
what
there
they were doing.
but there wasn't much to call in Jericho Chono.
Well, that's true too. But I noticed very quickly, it's like, yeah, they're not even really going to call these matches. But I was actually okay with it.
Yeah, I didn't have like, yeah, I think sometimes I think, and we'll get into this. There's a point in the show in my notes where I put everything's just blending together now.
Yeah.
I'm losing track of what I'm watching, and I think that that's a detriment of that commentary. Is
Yeah.
that yes? At that point, we definitely like things started blending together, and unfortunately, it happens right when the two best matches on the card are gonna take off. So yeah.
One other thing about Jericho versus Chono too, I did put this in my notes. USA chants during that match, even though neither of them are American. I thought that was kind of funny. Jericho, obviously Canadian.
No one accused Cedar Rapidians of being smart. I mean, we're from white trash Cockalooka County, Matt.
I get it. So you see Jericho, he's a white guy. He must be American. I get it. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, though, they used to do that during Yokozuna versus Bret Hart. They would chant USA.
Well, Hulk Hogan told you why in his WrestleMania 9 promo why we didn't like Yokozuna.
Yeah.
They edited it out on the network, but on the home video version, he called Yokozuna, and this was on pay-per-view, a big nasty Jap.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Even though Yokozuna is not Japanese.
Oh, one other production-related thing, too. I said band is super annoying.
Yeah, the live band, being there live, yeah.
That didn't come off well on the broadcast. It didn't come off well in the arena either.
No, because the acoustics in the Five Seasons Center were absolutely awful.
Oh, okay. That never helps.
No.
I also made a comment. I like heel Nick Patrick. I liked him as a heel ref. I thought he was very good in that role.
I I think what's funny about that though is you can see him start to get blown up.
Oh yeah, because he had to do every single match. Every single match, yeah.
After each match, he had to walk up the steps.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. You got a good workout.
Oh man, if he had an Apple Watch, then that thing short circuited.
And the only other thing I put in my notes, I didn't take copious notes, but the only other thing worth mentioning that I did make a note of was that the Miss NWO stuff is so cringe, and that was that was much worse than I expected. You told me, you warned me about that it was really bad. I didn't expect it to be that bad. Holy shit! Like, wow, what a disaster!
One of those women. Those beauties, as Eric Bischoff kept calling them, with that annoying co-host that ended up producing Snakes on a Plane.
What was his name? I'd never seen him before. Jeff something?
But he ended up becoming a Hollywood producer.
Oh, okay.
He produced Snakes on a Plane. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those women was a substitute teacher for the Cedar Rapids Community School District.
Oh, really?
She ended up losing her job over it.
She did? She lost her job for participating in that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Was she someone you knew? Because was she in your...
No.
Okay.
I think she was elementary school and we were in middle school at that time.
So she was a substitute teacher there and she lost her job for participating in the Miss NWO?
She was not allowed to substitute.
Wow. See, if that had happened today, she could have just started a podcast and you would have been...
Forget that, OnlyFans.
Or OnlyFans too, yeah.
Straight from the trailer park, Matt.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, she got fired for that. That's too bad, actually. That's... what they fire her for being a part of really, really bad television? I mean, what?
It was acts unbecoming of an employee of the Cedar Rapids Community School District.
Wow. Okay. No.
Yeah. How I found out is my mother, the beacon of hope and ray of light that she is, came home, and that is said just oozing in sarcasm. Came home, and I'm at home, and she walks in and she said, "Your stupid, fake, bullshit pro wrestling got a teacher fired today."
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. And so yeah, I totally forgot about it until a couple days later in school.
Wow. Yeah, I imagine it was the talk of the school, huh?
Like, I wore one of my NWO shirts, and some like one of the teachers, one of the like associates of the school, going into lunch said something. Yeah, they got my friend fired. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
And she explained it to us, and then we're like, oh, well, we're kids, so we're just like, sucks for her. Too sweet me.
I wonder if we could find her and get her.
He was one of the older women, Matt. So I don't know.
She might be dead.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a delicate way to say she might not be in the realm of the living anymore.
Dead, or she might not remember. Yeah. Wow.
Or she might not
those were some
talk about it.
Yeah. Wow. That's wild. Do you remember if she had any support? Like, was there... I mean, it was a different time. It was... The internet was still young.
I think no. I mean, because it was then, like, school boards were like revered. You didn't cross a school board, and look, older me kind of sees a point to it. Like, how do you expect kids to respect someone that took part in a pro wrestling show.
Well, especially that pro wrestling show where
Like,
those
well,
women were
kids
not
are
featured in a
in
positive
a
light.
glow. Yeah, they weren't. And I think that's a larger part of it, too. Like, people are like, oh, that seems like a petty reason until you watch
Yeah.
the. Until you watch it and you see how they were presented in some of the questions they were asked. And
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Ugh.
oh man, and they were all women. I believe all of them were from Cedar Rapids or Marion.
That's what Bischoff was saying, because I did listen. You sent me the link to that episode of 83 Weeks where Bischoff talks about that. And yeah, he says they were all local. You know, they wanted these biker chicks. They didn't want hot women. They didn't want women from the strip club. He
I,
wanted to feature more like, which, by the way, so there is something positive in that, right? Like he wanted to feature real women, not like, you know, sort of plastic Barbie type women you would normally see in some sort of beauty pageant, which there is something good in that, but it's like to bring these women on for this, like this terribly produced, demeaning, like it's almost like he's saying, okay, so we want to bring these biker chicks in, and because they're beautiful in their own way, but it's like, but I think he recognizes this now too, based on how he was speaking about it. But it ends up being even more demeaning in a way. And then he's
yeah,
making out with the winner at the end, and it's like, oh, this is so gross. This isn't cringe. This is beyond. This is repulsive. Like, what am I watching?
it wasn't up there with watching Vince McMahon make out with Trish Stratus.
That's uncomfortable too, but I'd rather see that.
No, stop.
Than Bischoff making out with
His tongue going all around her mouth.
Oh,
Come
yeah, that is
on,
pretty
man.
bad, actually. You're right. But at least but this was like, oh, this is awful. Like, what the
was
hell?
not they were not representative. I told someone at work this because I was pointing out to them the NWO beauties, and I'm like, look, I mean no disrespect to women. I think, you know, as you get older, beauty is skin deep. You learn about inner beauty and everything like that. But if you're gonna have a beauty pageant, there's probably a degree of hotness that has to be there. I'm like, you see the bikers with the shirt that says, in it's one of the most, I mean, not by biker standards or even by our standards, but it's pretty tasteless. The one that say, if you can read this, the bitch fell off.
Mm.
These were the women that fell off.
Well, but they were put in a terrible position because the production was so bad. There's that moment where, and it's the woman who ends up winning the whole thing. Where what's his name? That Jeff guy, whatever the hell, what is it? Jeff Katz, is that his name?
Yup.
He's talking to, he's asking her, because you know,
And she can't hear.
she can't, right. He's asking her a question like, what would you do for a night with Kevin Nash or whatever the hell it was? And she's just like, I can't hear you. It's like, oh, this is so bad.
He made it even cringier with the questions he was asking.
Yeah.
Like it was it was so demeaning.
Yeah.
It's like, are you? At first, I thought he was like Bubba the Love Sponge before he became a fat piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, he made snakes on a plane. Okay, so that's the second most annoying thing he's done.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So bad.
it was bad. And look, I want to go back. You mentioned the Jericho Chono match.
Yeah.
Notes on that.
Yeah.
I'm like, could have and should have been better based on the two that were in it.
Yeah.
It was very sloppy. Although I liked the table spot at the end.
I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was terrible, but not a great opener. I mean, you want a really strong, hot opener, and that wasn't it. It
Was
was
there,
slow.
but I think when we criticize an opener, though, we gotta look at the card. Be
Yeah.
like, is there a better opener?
Yeah, that's a good
And
point. That's a good
and
point. The card was
I,
weak.
the card was weak. Like you could have put Six and Eddie Guerrero, which I thought was the match of the night.
Yes, that was good. But of course it was. You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean? Like
mean,
you look at the two guys in it, it's like they probably couldn't have had a bad match if they tried, you know?
yeah, and it was a ladder match too. Like
Yeah.
that's the one match that WCW could justifiably win,
Yeah.
and they did. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I thought also another great match was Steiner's Outsiders.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
I think out of all the matches they had, that was probably their best one. And you ended it with. I mean, I would have stuck with the finish.
Mhm.
Because that Monday on Nitro, Eric Bischoff came out. He stripped the Steiners of the title,
Yeah.
saying, Randy Anderson wasn't. No, you should have had someone from WCW come out and say, no, the day of the show, we got Randy Anderson sanctioned. He was a sanctioned official by the Iowa State Athletic Commission. He counted the pin, but we'll give him a rematch. And
Right.
that would have galvanized
Yes.
WCW.
Yes.
And so I, I thought that hokey bullshit just destroyed what was a great match.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I
Because
agree.
because at some point, you need the heels to chase.
Yes.
They
Yes.
can't, and that would have been perfect to have the outsiders chase.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. I agree.
Just yeah, and then I mean, after that, the main event. Oh boy, that was a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, Giant's limitations.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's a bigger guy. And we all know at that point what Hogan's limitations were.
Yes.
Just, I mean, and the thing is they'd had matches before and they were bad.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing it again?
Yeah. You had sent
Like,
me.
what would have been a super cool visual? Now that I think about it, I just thought of this.
Yeah.
Is if you would have had, I don't know, like trying to think of someone that could have fit it. Not Ric Flair.
Oops.
Someone Luger, maybe, because they were still Sting was appearing, but he hadn't had a match yet, so Sting was out. What would have been such a cool visual is you have a situation where you have Hogan versus Luger and Luger wins.
Mm-hmm.
You could have NWO dominate
Yeah.
this entire card,
Yeah.
win every match,
Yep.
but at the end of the night, WCW wins.
Yep.
And that would have been brilliant.
Yes,
And
I agree.
I know people are going to say, oh, well, then you kill Starcade 97. No, you don't. Hot shot it back to Hogan. Do
Sure.
what? Do next month at Super Brawl. Flipping, have him get the title back. Or you could have had Eric Bischoff could have been so cocky. I'm stealing your idea. So damn cocky. And we'll let anyone from WCW come in. They could sign anyone off the street. Then you build this idea of it could be anyone.
Yeah.
And you have Randy Savage come out
Yeah.
and have him go over on Hogan.
Yep.
Place would place would have been place would have blown up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would have went crazy. It would have been the hottest reaction to a match ever.
Yeah. There's so much they could have done. But again, great idea, but just poorly executed because of lazy creative. It was the creative was lazy.
And I think this event just points to Turner not understanding pro wrestling and underestimating the pro wrestling fans. I really think they did.
Yeah.
Because after you saw this, what in your right mind would possess you to say, we're going to give WCW a second 2-hour show a week?
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
Like, this should have kind of caused a pause.
Yeah.
Been like, I mean, not, I don't want to, because it seems as if it's common practice to just go off on Eric Bischoff for WCW's failures. And that's not the case.
No.
Again, I would recommend anyone watch the series Who Killed WCW.
Yes.
Or read the Guy Pearce book Nitro to fully understand what happened to WCW.
Yeah.
Me personally, and I'll say this anytime we talk about WCW, AOL Time Warner killed WCW.
Right, they made the decision to kill that TV deal, and that was it.
They made so many bad decisions.
Well, the decision's on the way to that too. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I do believe had they sold it to Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff did his plan to revitalize WCW by taking a year off and then having a show on New Year's Eve at the MGM Grand, relaunching it. I think, I personally believe we'd still be talking about WCW today.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah.
But again, this is what happens when you have non-pro wrestling people making pro wrestling decisions.
Yep.
And you have that, and it doesn't work. And this is what I meant when I said we started seeing the cracks happen. Yep. And I believe you were going to bring up one of the major cracks is on the original event poster.
Yeah, so you had sent me that, and it's the nWo, but the Giant is it looks like in the picture the Giant is Paul White is still a part of the nWo, the way this picture. Now, when I first looked at this, though, and we'll use it as the thumbnail for this segment on YouTube, but when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, they made a mistake. Whoever put this together, typical sloppy WCW, and they used a picture of when the Giant was still in the nWo itself. But then it occurred to me, what was it a mistake, or was it just poor design in that they were trying to show the Giant is a big part of the event because he's in the main event against Hulk Hogan, but they botched it because it makes it look like he's a part of the nWo when that's not what they intended. So is it that they just flat out got it wrong because they were being sloppy, or were they trying to communicate something else with this poster, but they failed spectacularly because it gives you the wrong impression? You know what I mean?
Right. The thing is, I believe, I don't think this was set on 83 weeks.
They didn't bring up the poster from what I recall.
Okay.
Because I listened to it today and there was no talk of that.
I read the transcript. I went through the whole transcript. I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
But on one of the Conrad Thompson podcasts, those pay-per-view posters are designed 3 months in advance.
Right.
So keep in mind that the Giant won World War III. That's what led to him leaving the nWo. So I don't think that this was the original plan.
Okay.
I don't think having the giant leave so soon was.
Okay. That makes
I
sense.
don't know what the original plan was.
Yeah.
Um, it could have been an injury derailed it, or it could have been they're like NWO pay-per-view. Oh crap, we have to have Hulk Hogan on it. Who do we have in face? Oh, Giant just won this battle royal. Let's push this turn through, get him back over, and then we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, you're probably right. That's
We
better than my theory. Actually, yeah. So
I
I think
mean,
you're
your
right.
theory works too,
Yours
but
is better though. Yours is more solid because you're right. I mean, they those were designed way in advance, and um, I
because
today with technology you can whip something up easily, but at the last minute if you have to. But back
I
then, not
mean
so much.
these posters. This was the advertisement in our local paper, the Cedar Rapids Gazette,
Yeah,
for weeks before the on sale date.
yeah. So that makes your theory makes sense.
So I mean, again, yeah, it's a botch. It's something that, but it's WWE did it before where they had a pay per view called "It's in Your House, It's Time."
Oh yeah,
Vader is on the poster, and he has a set an 8-minute match on the pre-show.
yeah. That's right. I remember that.
And it's like, okay, how does this happen?
Yeah.
Well, and now that I think about it, that's where I heard it from. Is that was on the Something to Wrestle episode about Vader.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah, it's coming back to me now. So
Okay.
yeah, those are designed well in advance. It isn't. So yeah, plans change, but back then it's not like now where you just go into Photoshop and
Yep.
brush him out and make the logo bigger, maybe push the photo over, do a couple quick things,
Yep.
and then send it to the press, and the press gets it, and the change happens.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's your theory is pretty sound, I think. Um so then so this was the only year. So Sold Out continued as an annual event, but not as NWO Sold Out,
Yep,
obviously.
it was WCW Sold Out. Uh, then it was WCW NWO Sold Out, and then it went back to WCW Sold Out. I mean, the next year's event was also controversial because they hyped it up as we are going to settle who the world champion is after Starrcade 97. They didn't settle it. They pushed it off to the next month in that Sting and Hogan were going to have a world title match at Starrcade.
Yeah.
And there would be a winner. Well, yeah, there has to be a winner because you vacated the title.
Yeah.
So, and they gave Bret Hart and Ric Flair 13 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also infamous for when Kevin Nash tried to jackknife the Giant.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And when Dusty Rhodes turned heel.
Oh yeah. Which was not great.
Yeah, so I mean, there were some good matches. Like I said, the tag title match, the best match of the night was Guerrero and Jericho. I thought it was very good.
Yeah.
The rest, like Buff Bagwell versus Scotty Riggs. I mean, Riggs tried. I mean, we got to see the Buff Blockbuster.
His
But
finishing move.
yeah, that was
Which
the first time.
That was the first time he'd used that, right? On
Mhm.
TV. Yeah, I like that actually. I like that's
That was
about the only thing
cool.
I like, but yeah,
But
it's a cool move.
I mean, Scotty Riggs tried.
Yeah.
He tried to turn chicken salad out of chicken shit. Didn't work.
Yep. Yep.
Unfortunately, you had Hugh Moore. Another note I had is the Mexican death match. And the rules were never explained. You had Nick
Yeah.
Patrick running around talking about disqualifying people. And
Yeah.
then you had, like, people would be laying on the mat and he'd be counting to 10 even after someone got up. And you're like, is this a like, even in the audience at
Yeah.
the event, as I was watching, I'm like, I remember people just looking around like, what the
Yeah.
hell is going on? And then you had Scott Norton and DDP.
Yep.
And no one knew that until they announced it that DDP was counted out. It's like, well, wait.
Yeah.
The NWO guys touched him. That's a disqualification. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot more questions than answers
Yeah.
with that one. Yeah, and then having the crowd kind of turn on the NWO.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's been as you might say, there have been a lot of pay-per-views, and that was one of them.
Oh boy, it was.
Yeah.
I was there live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I've done a lot of unfortunate things in public.
Yeah.
Yeah, going to that is pretty high on the list.
Yeah. Yeah. It was it was a hard, like I said, that was the first time I'd ever watched it. It was a hard watch. Well,
I mean, and the sad thing is, Matt, is it one of the worst WCW pay-per-views? Is it really? If we're gonna look,
there's been some others that are pretty bad, yeah.
I mean, I sent it to you in our group chat. Man Cow versus Jimmy Hart was on a pay-per-view.
Yes, it was. I'd forgotten about that. I'd forgotten all about it. Or repressed memory, perhaps.
Oh,
Yeah.
like I can't even.
I know.
I can't. How did this company fail?
Well, there you go. So that's NWO sold out. Anything to add, or should we talk about next week?
I mean, I think I'll give it a rating. I mean, I'll give it 2.5 stars.
Out of 5?
Out of 5. Yeah, I'm not gonna totally crap on it.
Yeah.
I think the tag match and the ladder match were the saving graces. I thought Scott Norton and DDP was good.
Yeah.
I think, but man, Chono and Jericho I thought it was sloppy. Hugh Morris and Big Bubba. I've never gotten what the big deal was with Bill DeMott. Everyone thinks he's this great wrestler.
No, I never saw it either. I'm with you.
I don't see it. I don't get it. I mean, someone can explain it to me. I don't get it. Maybe it's psychology. I don't know.
No.
But and then Bagwell Riggs, Scotty Riggs is a decent worker, but Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Oh man, Buff Bagwell has to be the definition of $1 million body, 5 cent ability.
Yeah.
Like just, like, yeah, just the whole thing, and like, look, I firmly believe that it could have been better. And I think that this is when Turner, Harvey Schiller, head of Turner Sports, someone should have kind of grabbed the reins and said, the stagecoach is veering off course here a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's get it back together.
Yeah.
Because we're still 14 months away from WWE totally changing the tide.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
There was time to correct this.
Yeah. True.
But I think that this was the beginning of seeing some of the cracks in the foundation.
Yeah.
And I, I didn't see it as a precarious eighth grader at that time. But now, if I knew now, then what I know now, I would have been able to identify it.
Right. Right.
Because I think, like, WCW did some compelling things after this, like
Sure.
Sting, and they had Luger win the title in Detroit that year.
Oh, yeah.
They did a lot of great things. I don't know, like, watching an event like this, anytime you watch a quote unquote bad pay-per-view or PLE from a promotion that's dead, you sit there and you're like, what could have been?
Right. Right. Well, like I said, a good idea, but just very poorly executed.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. But I still would say, if you want to see the the notorious event, it's on Peacock.
Yep. It sure
Go
is.
ahead. And the full beauty pageants on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot we can say.
Yeah.
Like I said last week, and like Matt said, there have been a lot of wrestling pay-per-views, and this was one of them. And
Exactly.
it came from my city.
Yep.
Matt, how would you feel if this emanated from Manchester, New Hampshire, at SNHU Arena?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know.
In the administrative offices of, now we're the Alliant Energy powerhouse.
Oh, okay.
And it's been greatly renovated since the flood of 2008. It's a state-of-the-art arena now.
Oh.
In the administrative office, I believe they still have this event poster hanging up,
Oh, no
signed
kidding.
by all the participants.
Oh, well, that's cool. That's cool anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I actually had sent an email to them asking if anyone was still, didn't share this with you, was there that took part
Yeah.
in this event. I didn't get a response, and I'm highly doubting
Yeah, probably not.
that there is. But I mean, to this day, there are people in Cedar Rapids that speak fondly of this. They will say, like, if I wear my nWo t-shirt, or my cousin Austin, they'll say, I remember when those boys came to Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
it's like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
The whole wrestling community remembers when they came to Cedar Rapids, just not as fondly as you do.